The Thornton sisters from Long Branch, New Jersey, were a musical act during the late 50s and early 60s. But what separated these gals from other female acts was that they were trained musicians. Consisting of 5 sisters and their mother, the Thornton sisters appeared on Ted Mack's Amateur Hour and won Amateur Night at the world-renowned Apollo Theater 6 consecutive times, which then led them to a recording contract with Bob Sand Records and the hit song, Watch Your Step. Now, many might see this as a pinnacle of success. However, when it came to his girls, Donald Thornton, their father, was determined that his daughters, first and foremost, would be college educated and rise to become doctors. The story of the Thornton sisters and their father, Donald Thornton, was chronicled in the best-selling book and made-for-television film, The Ditch Digger's Daughters.
So, just to go back, because the subtitle is, what is the subtitle?
Can I introduce you first?
No.
Please?
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
All right, I'll be introduced
She just
now.
come in here and start running the show. Dr. Yvonne Thornton. Now I'd like to just tell you a little bit about her background. And it's just bear with me because it's a lot here, but I think it's very valuable for us to know who's sitting here before us today. Dr. Thornton is a double board certified perinatal consultant in obstetrics, gynecology, and maternal fetal medicine. She's a clinical professor of obstetrics and gynecology at New York Medical College in New York. Dr. Thornton is a diplomate of the American Board of Obstetrics and Gynecology, a fellow of the American College of Surgeons, and a former senior oral examiner for the American Board of Obstetrics and Gynecology. Dr. Thornton was the first black woman in the United States to be board certified in high-risk obstetrics and to be accepted in the New York Obstetrical Society. Dr. Thornton and her husband volunteered for active military duty, and she was commissioned as a lieutenant commander in the United States Navy at the National Naval Medical Center in Bethesda Hospital of the President. She is the author of the beloved national best-selling memoir entitled The Ditch Digger's Daughters, which was first published in 1995 and has never been out of print. Her book was also featured on the Oprah Winfrey Show. This family biography is a tribute to her parents and was condensed in the Reader's Digest, translated into 19 languages, adapted into an award-winning world premiere movie, and nominated for the Peabody Award and the Cable Ace Award for Best Picture. It is my great honor. It is my great honor to welcome.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness.
Thank you.
This is wonderful.
Well, thank you.
This is wonderful.
Thank
This
you.
is very
My sisters and I didn't look like Mariah Carey. We didn't look like Beyonce or Vanessa Williams. Lena Horne, very light skinned. We looked more like the kids, more like the sisters of Buckwheat. And we were dark skinned. Nobody wanted us around. Even our relatives pretended not to be home. We started, visiting. Oh, Donald and them kids. So we couldn't even go visit. So we had to stay home. So my father would say, okay, kids, but when you're doctors, people are going to really want you. And we said, doctors? He says, yes. The only thing that my father could think of is that to protect us, so we could stand on equal terms with anybody, was to be a doctor, was to be a physician. If you could heal somebody, he said, if you could make somebody well, it would make any difference what color you were. And so he said, all my girls are going to be doctors. Well, that was just the laughing stock of Long Branch, let me tell you. you know, first of all, having 5 girls, and then you're all gonna be doctors, ha 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 ha, you know. And so, well, that was the way that it was. Now, my sisters and I were named, so I went to school and said, I'm gonna be a doctor. And my classmates said, I never saw a black doctor, except Dr. Parker. You remember Dr. Parker? So, I never saw a woman doctor, never saw a woman doctor. So I said, no, I'm going to be a doctor. And I would come home crying, Daddy, Daddy, Daddy. You know, I told them I was going to be a doctor. And they said they never saw a black woman doctor. And he would bend down and say, well, Cookie, which is my family nickname, you'll be the first one. Go on back and study. So we studied and studied and studied. And this is just to be signed.
Excellent. But this one is all situations, so you know the characters.
Then we're going to Rutgers, New Brunswick. That'll be up. And what else is there?
Yeah, Wayne, New Jersey. At,
now my sister, Donna, my elder sister Donna, found a little plastic toy in a box of Cracker Jack. That's when they had great prizes in those days, whistles and toys. Today, I guess they have some paper or whatever it is. They've just deteriorated to nothing. But in those days, they had great little prizes. And my sister said, Daddy, what is this? He says, well, that's the plastic saxophone. He said, well, she said, can I have a real one? And real one costs money. I mean, you know, and so, but my father, to his credit, he never said no to us when it meant that it could advance our education, that it could make us better students, better people. And he found a friend who had a alto saxophone in his attic. He said, well, you know, Kenny, my daughter wants to play that, and I can have it back to you in a month. Because you know how kids are, JJ, is that they want something and want something. And then all of a sudden, you know, they lose interest, and, you know, it's over. But to my sister's credit, she played that saxophone, slept with that saxophone, ate with that saxophone, went to school with that saxophone, all with no lessons. You can imagine the sounds that came out of that saxophone, screeching and squealing, and oh my, I mean, the skin was like, you know, a fingernail on a chalkboard. My mother said, okay, this is enough, this is it, you know, we have to give him some lessons. So, and as a nurse, this is the, I like the hat. Feeling mutual. You know how to get in touch with me. The next stop was the Apollo Theater in, as everybody knows, the Apollo Theater is the bastion of black entertainment. You know, anybody was anybody in those days. Cab Calloway, Ella Fitzgerald, Sammy Davis Jr. You had to go through the Apollo Theater. And Wednesday nights was the amateur night. And with the amateur night, if you could win 4 consecutive weeks, a Wednesday night amateur night at the Apollo, you can have a paid week with the stars. That was the carrot. That was the brass ring. So the Thornton sisters from Long Branch, New Jersey, we would just trouble up over the Pulaski Highway or whatever it is to New York City during the summer and on Wednesday and see if we could basically get on the amateur night show. And we did it was once. We were very unusual. When you look back, very unusual entertainment family. You will never see, and I'm telling you, before or after the Thornton sisters, the instrumentation of all women playing what we did. You're just not going to see it today. You'll have a woman playing guitar, and 2 people will play the guitar, but you're not going to have an all-girl rhythm and blues group with the instrumentation that we have. You're just not going to see it anymore. But anyway, we went up there, and Thornton sisters, you're on. Okay, Apollo. So at the Apollo, they had this ritual. This is the only video in existence.
Really?
Yes.
That's it.
This person is Donna. She's 14. She's on tenor. If you can see, Tiny, this is me. I'm 11 on alto.
How old were you?
11 years old.
Oh my gosh, 11?
Wow, you are flowing.
This is Jeanette. She's 13 on the guitar. Now, if you really hone in your view, Linda will be 9 years old. She's 9 years old playing the drums. That's not, no, I think so. I think you should come. Well, you need to relax because it's hot. Finally, the dough usually is over. You know, I was ready to start making an arc. It was like, rain.
Lowercase letters, G period, R period.
To G period, R period?
Short distance,
Yeah, G,
and
R.
then I guess I like he ended up paying
Period.
attention because I had to work, and he.
That's it? Girl, you got to be ready to that.
No. Gilda! Talent! I work with Gilda at one of the newspapers, that's where we met.
Okay.
I'm currently a contributing writer at the Positive Community magazine in town Montclair.
Okay, can I write Glinda here?
Glenda.
Oh, like the Good Witch.
No, hers is spelled with I.
Glenda.
Glenda.
No, it's Glenda. Glenda. Oh, yeah, remember. Check that out. We have to check that out.
Glinda, I'm sure.
Glenda? I thought it was
Glenda.
Glenda.
It's Glinda.
Glenda. And
So
so
I did, and that's why you hear that I am the first black woman in the United States to be board certified in maternal fetal medicine because I listened to my mother. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I have delivered 5,542 babies. I've overseen about 12,000 deliveries. But before that, you know, as I wanted to be an obstetrician since I was 8 years of age. I've wanted to deliver babies. And because my father wanted to have this dream of all of us, his daughters, to become doctors, physicians, and I'm wanting to become I found out the word obstetrician, I just wanted to deliver babies, it kind of was a confluence together that kind of held me up when there were some really, really hard times and to overcome some of the really, really tough times when I was studying, when nobody in my family even had gone to college, much less, medical school. I had colleagues who they were third and fourth generation of doctors, or lawyers, or they're very, very educated. But my mom and dad, they were just middle class, working class people. But you just loved your children and, you'd give anything for them. And my father did for us. He would put up with a lot of stuff just so that we could have the life that we had. And they would say, Donald, you work too hard. You're working on Sundays. You're working on the weekends. You're working on holidays. And he would say, you eat on Sundays. You eat on the holidays. You eat on Sundays. So that's where you're working. So he said, you're going to work so hard, you're going to kill yourself. You're going to work so hard, you're going to kill yourself. And my uncles and aunts would say that to his friends. He just shot back and said, I would rather work hard how many days a week, how many hours a day, and kill myself than not work hard and have my kids go through what I had to go through. So he worked hard and he died at 57. My father died too young at 57, but he always would say, if the front door is closed to you, go around to the back. Okay, if the back door's closed, go to the side. Maybe they left the window open. If the window's open, get in. If that's shut, jump up on the roof, see if you can get in that way, because never, never, never give up. The only person that can stop you is you. And don't let anybody, turn you around. So that was my dad. The tenor sax. I married Sherwood McClelland. Now, I am Mrs. McClelland, but I practice as Dr. Thornton in honor of my parents who worked so hard in order to get me where I am going. Doctor is followed by Thornton. It's not Doctor followed by McClelland, because McClelland, all I had to say was I do, okay? And that's not happening. And I told him that when we were courting. I said, this is the deal. This is back in the 70s, and many men could not handle that. They said, if you're going to marry me, you're going to have to take my name. So he was off the list of getting closer to, we're not getting any closer after that. But my husband said, I never thought of it that way. If we should continue with this relationship, we get closer, and we get married and have a child and it's a daughter, and we work very hard, I would expect her, that was a good idea, to take the family name of the people who supported her. I said, well, you can look far ahead of time, but right now, I'm going by Dr. Thornton, okay? If you can't handle that, then that's it. That's it. You have to respect my parents. So he was my best friend, Sherwood. He went to Princeton. He never saw us perform at Princeton, even though the Thornton sisters were the #1 band at Princeton University for over 10 years. But he was in the lab working with his rats or something. So we met at medical school at Columbia, and we were engaged and got married in 1974. And we have 2 children, as you heard, Woody and Kimberly. But at 47 years of age, we went back to Columbia to get our executive master's in public health, because the
the tide of medicine was changing with regard to HMOs and insurance companies and PPOs and carve-outs and all these different terminology. It was not medicine, but it was like, we were taken over by aliens, and that happened to be the HMOs. So we needed to be conversant in that aspect of medicine, so my husband and I went back to Columbia to get our executive master's in public health and health policy and management. So that's us. It took me 15 years to get the first book published. Nobody wanted to publish that book. They said it was just about, parents raising up kids. We couldn't make any money off of it. However, if my father, Donald Thornton, were a pimp and he raised 6 prostitutes, we could publish that book. That was one of the editors. But we struggled first, and we kept going, and wanting to know what my parents wanted. And when the book was named by the American Library Association as one of the best books for young adults, in 1995, he said, "Mom, this book's for you." And so that was the first book. It went on to become a movie, as you know, and hopefully I've had 3 producers be excited about making the first book into a Broadway musical. So it just has lives and lives and lives. So I prayed to God when it first came out. I said, "God, I got a book now. Now the next prayer, please don't let it be in the remainder bin for $1, okay? Please, God, please." I mean, because usually it's $26.99, in March, and by September, 50 cents. You want the book for 50 cents. So the book has never been out of print, and so God has answered my prayers. So again, having raised 2 happy, successful kids. My kids are not in therapy. My daughter doesn't have 3, illegitimate kids out of wedlock. My son's not on crack cocaine. He's not like Arnold Schwarzenegger. None of these behavioral things. They're good, God-fearing children. And I think, my husband and I made sure that we were involved in their upbringing. And if it took a little bit of a dissent in my career, so be it. But it didn't take that dissent because you had to balance things off, and it basically enhanced itself. But that was my mom. She was a wonderful woman, and she worked 3 years, she went to Bluefield State Teachers College in West Virginia. She couldn't graduate because she didn't have enough money. She was asked to leave with a straight A average because she couldn't come up with the tuition. And I think that was what happens to a dream deferred. And because she didn't get that diploma, she wanted all of us to get a diploma. So if you come to our house in Long Branch, if you came to the living room, you saw, just like here, every diploma that we ever got was on the wall. I mean, high school diploma, college, the medical school. It was like 18 diplomas on. She would just sit and look and say, "Hey, these are my kids." So, but she never got the diploma for herself. But working with the West Virginia Higher Education Authority in 2004, I told them about the story about my mom. And in 2005, I was asked to be their commencement speaker and to accept posthumously a doctorate of humanities for my mom, and she's now in the class of 2005. Thank you. And no, we all didn't become doctors with the script scraps hanging around our neck, but we became very successful, independent, and productive women, all from 2 people who had a dream. And this shows you what we can do with the power of a dream. And so ends my presentation. Thank you.
But when we were the Thornton sisters in the 60s and 70s, we were some bad butt chicks, let me tell you.
Dr. Thornton,
Yes, ma'am.
as you did a cappella for many years, as we all know, how about doing something?
No, not today.
No more?
Not tonight, no more.
After all those years?
After all those years, after all
It was so terrific.
Thank you.
Phyllis.
I just have a comment. We got on the web today,
Uh-huh.
and you are one of the 5 African American women to watch in 2011, along with Halle Berry, Oprah Winfrey, Michelle Obama, and I cannot remember the other.
And me, huh? Wow.
Yes, and I'm honored to know you.
We're
Thank you.
So wonderful to see you.
Yes.
I want to tell you, I read your book in 1995, the first one.
Yes.
I was in high school, it was on my summer reading list.
Uh-huh.
And I loved the book so much, I talked about it to my family. You met my grandmother in a setting like this in the Middletown Library. She was a librarian.
Oh, okay.
And
Back in the 90s?
Back in the 90s.
Okay.
I was still in high school. I don't know what she said to you, but you called my house because I couldn't make that.
Really?
Yes, you
That
called my
sounds
house.
like me.
And it meant so much to me. That's why it was so important for me to come here today. And I just wanted to thank you for that.
Well, thank you. And you, is this yours?
This is my son.
This is,
Christian.
another
Yes.
generation.
Yes.
How old are you?
10.
10. Perfect time to start reading the book. Push. No, there's a lot of good things in that, in the first book. A lot of my dad's philosophy that really has helped a lot. And I think that's why it's around so long, because his wisdom really transcends time. It's really an important book. It's really
He was
is.
an amazing
He
man.
was.
And
Yes.
I picked that book up. It was a Friday night, and I was done by Sunday.
Wow.
Loved it. Yeah.
Well, I hope this one takes you through the weekend too.
It's a feel-good story, and you can't help but to appreciate and feel good after reading a story like that, because it tells you, like, if you have hard work
That's what my mom said.
and values
Yes.
do really mean something, right?
never give
And
up.
never giving up. And like you said, the only person that can, really destroy you is you.
That's right.
Is you. So if you put your heart and soul and spirit into something,
Here we are.
yeah.
Here we
So
are.
yeah.
Living
So
proof.
wow.
All about. What it's all
And we need more fathers like that.
Yes.
That's no. We're not doing it like this.
Right.
And for you, like I
Contracts.
didn't really know the whole history about the music.
Yeah, the Thornton sisters.
And so for him to have galvanized that
Yeah.
to become what it became, so that you could go to college, but no, college was always the education was
wasn't
always
money.
the number one.
But when you look back, we were poor. And when somebody's flashing 6 figures, 7 figures in front of you, I'm just saying music was just a stepping stone to get to where you wanted to go. And really the topic of my talk for this book is turning stumbling blocks into stepping stones.
Well, I just want you to remember me.
Well, do you have a
when
card?
it becomes the musical,
musical?
because I want to come to the opening and I want to be sitting somewhere up close.
Well,